Dwayne Johnson, known across the globe as The Rock, just reminded everyone that even the biggest superstar on the planet can have a very human moment. Reports began swirling that Dwayne Johnson was recently pulled over by police and allegedly handed a ticket. And just like that, the internet lit up. This isn't a movie scene, not a scripted moment, but a real-life situation that instantly grabbed attention because of who it involves. When someone who plays unstoppable heroes on screen gets stopped on a regular road, people can't help but look closer. It breaks that illusion of invincibility, even if just for a second, and pulls fans into a story that feels surprisingly grounded. What makes the story so fascinating isn't just the traffic stop itself, it's the contrast. Here's a man who built his brand on discipline, structure, and relentless work ethic. From his early wrestling days in WWE to becoming one of Hollywood's most bankable stars, Johnson has always projected control and focus. His routine, his mindset, and his image, it's all about precision and consistency. So when a story like this appears, even if it's something minor, it feels unexpected. It disrupts the polished image just enough to make people curious, almost like seeing a crack in something you thought was flawless. As details started circulating, the narrative seemed fairly simple: a routine drive, a brief interaction with law enforcement, and a minor infraction, possibly something like speeding or a small oversight behind the wheel. Nothing dangerous, nothing reckless, just one of those everyday mistakes that millions of drivers make without a second thought. But when you attach a name like The Rock to that scenario, suddenly it becomes a headline, a trending topic, and a conversation starter across every platform. It's a reminder of how fame can amplify even the smallest moments. What's even more interesting is how quickly the story spread. Within minutes, posts began appearing across social media platforms, each one adding a new layer to the narrative. Some claimed insider details, others exaggerated the situation, and many simply reshared the headline without context. This rapid spread created a kind of digital wildfire, where the story evolved faster than it could be verified. And in today's world, that's often how celebrity news works. It's less about confirmed facts and more about how engaging the story becomes. Fans were quick to react, and their responses painted a very interesting picture. Some were genuinely surprised, saying things along the lines of, "No way, not The Rock." Others leaned into humor, joking that even the most disciplined man alive couldn't escape traffic laws. Memes started appearing within hours, images of Johnson behind the wheel with exaggerated captions, playful edits imagining the officer realizing who they had just pulled over. It became less about the incident itself and more about how relatable it felt, turning a simple moment into shared entertainment. And that relatability is key. For years, Johnson has cultivated a connection with his audience that goes beyond entertainment. He shares workout routines, life advice, behind-the-scenes glimpses of his career, and personal reflections that resonate with millions. His social media presence isn't just promotional, it's personal. So when something like this happens, it doesn't feel like a scandal. It feels like a reminder that no matter how big someone becomes, they still deal with the same everyday realities as everyone else, from traffic stops to minor inconveniences. There's also a deeper conversation happening beneath the surface. Stories like this highlight the idea of accountability. In a world where celebrities are often perceived as living above the rules, moments like this reinforce the opposite. The reaction online showed that people actually appreciate seeing fairness in action. Comments flooded in saying things like, "Respect if he just owned it," and "Good to see rules apply to everyone." It's a subtle but important shift in how audiences view these situations, moving away from idolization toward realism. Of course, Johnson's history plays a huge role in shaping how this story is being received. This is someone who has spent decades building a reputation for positivity and responsibility, whether it's his intense workout routines, his commitment to his fans, or his transparency about struggles and setbacks. He's consistently presented himself as grounded despite his fame. That's why even a minor traffic incident doesn't shake public trust. It almost strengthens it, reinforcing the idea that he practices what he preaches. Looking back at his journey, it's clear why this moment stands out. From struggling early in life, facing financial hardship, and even being cut from football dreams, to becoming a global icon, Johnson's story is one of resilience. He didn't just rise to fame, he built it step by step, earning respect along the way. He's not just an actor, he's a brand, a symbol of perseverance, and for many, a source of motivation. That's why people pay attention to even the smallest updates about him. Every moment, no matter how ordinary, becomes part of a much larger narrative. Another interesting angle is how quickly the internet transforms reality into entertainment. Within hours of the story emerging, it had already evolved. What started as a simple report turned into jokes, debates, and speculation. Some people questioned the details, others exaggerated the situation, and many simply enjoyed the humor of it all. It's a reminder of how fast information, and sometimes misinformation, spreads in the digital age, where attention often matters more than accuracy.
At the same time, there's a sense of balance in how fans are reacting. Unlike traditional celebrity controversies, this story hasn't triggered outrage or backlash. Instead, it's been met with curiosity, humor, and even a bit of admiration. People aren't criticizing, they're engaging. They're sharing, commenting, and connecting over a moment that feels surprisingly normal. And in a world filled with dramatic headlines, that kind of reaction is refreshing. Then there's the question of how Johnson himself might respond. Known for his active presence on social media, he's someone who doesn't shy away from addressing real-life situations. In the past, he's turned personal moments into powerful messages, often using them to inspire or connect with his audience. If he chooses to speak about this, it wouldn't be surprising if he approaches it with humor or a lesson about accountability, perhaps even turning it into a motivational takeaway. This situation also highlights something broader about celebrity culture. We often place public figures on pedestals, expecting perfection at all times. But moments like these break that illusion in the best way possible. They show that even the most admired individuals have everyday experiences, make small mistakes, and deal with consequences just like anyone else. And ironically, that makes them more likable, not less. Interestingly, the story has also sparked discussions about how quickly narratives form. Without official confirmation or detailed reports, people began filling in the gaps themselves. It's a perfect example of how modern media works. Information doesn't just spread, it evolves. And sometimes the version that goes viral isn't the most accurate one, but the most engaging. That raises questions about how we consume news and how easily perception can shape reality. Despite all the noise, one thing remains clear. This isn't a scandal. It's not a major career-defining moment or a career-defining controversy. It's a brief, almost mundane incident that gained attention because of who it involves. And in many ways, that's what makes it so compelling. It's ordinary, yet extraordinary at the same time, blending everyday life with global fame. For Johnson, this is unlikely to have any lasting impact. His career is built on consistency, professionalism, and a strong connection with his audience. A minor traffic stop doesn't change that. If anything, it adds another layer to his public image, one that makes him feel even more real and approachable. And in an industry where authenticity is increasingly valued, that's not a bad thing at all. And for fans, this story serves as a reminder that perfection isn't what makes someone admirable. It's how they handle situations, how they carry themselves, and how they connect with others. Johnson has built his legacy on those principles, and that's not something a single moment can change. If anything, moments like these reinforce the idea that growth and humility are part of the journey. As the conversation continues, it's clear that this story will eventually fade, replaced by the next big headline or viral moment. But for now, it's a snapshot, a brief glimpse into the everyday life of someone who usually seems larger than life. And sometimes those moments people connect with the most because they feel real. So whether you see this as a funny headline, a relatable situation, or just another example of how fast the internet moves, one thing is certain. When The Rock gets pulled over, it becomes a story the whole world wants to talk about. And maybe that says as much about us as it does about him. Make sure to like, subscribe, and stay tuned for more celebrity updates just like this.